Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we have a very specific, and I'd say high-stakes mission.
That's a good way to put it.
We are diving deep into 200 essential vocabulary words. But it's not just about, learning their definitions.
No, not at all. It's about understanding exactly how they function to secure a high band score on the IELTS test, the International English Language Testing System.
And that's a crucial distinction to make right at the start.
It is, because for anyone listening, IELTS is often the single biggest hurdle they face in a major life change. It's one of the world's most popular English proficiency tests.
And the score you get, it basically dictates your path forward.
It really does.
I mean, we're talking about fundamental life decisions here. You need an IELTS score for immigration to...
All the major English-speaking countries, the UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand.
And if the score isn't there, the visa doesn't happen. It's that simple.
And then there's higher education. University admissions can be, well, unforgiving.
Right. We often see minimum band scores of, 6.5 or even 7.0?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just to apply, especially for those tougher postgraduate programs.
And it goes beyond that, into professional registration.
Sure. Think about fields like medicine, nursing, engineering. These careers require a certified score to practice safely and effectively.
So the test has the 4 parts: listening, reading, writing, and speaking.
And the simple truth is that vocabulary isn't just one section. It underpins success in all 4.
You need the right words to comprehend complex arguments in the reading section, for sure.
And you need them to articulate sophisticated arguments in your writing and speaking.
So our approach today is less about just memorizing a list.
It's more about building a high-scoring academic toolbox, piece by piece.
We've organized these 200 words by theme, but the real power is in seeing them in context. We're going to focus on the kind of precision an examiner really rewards.
Let's start with the foundational elements then, the academic and formal foundations.
The building blocks.
Exactly. These are the bricks you need to build any sophisticated academic structure, especially in your Task 2 essays.
Okay, first up, a word that I think instantly elevates any sentence: exemplary.
Yes, it means outstanding, or serving as a perfect model.
So how would a student actually use this, maybe in an essay about policy?
Well, instead of saying something simple like, country X has a very good education system, you could write.
Let me guess. The system is an exemplary model.
Precisely. Country X's implementation of early childhood education serves as an exemplary model that other nations should strive to emulate.
That one word just changes the whole tone.
It shows the examiner you command that formal register.
I also see students struggle a bit with advocate. It's useful because it has 2 functions, right?
Exactly. It gives you 2 powerful options, the verb and the noun.
So as a verb, it means to support something.
Right, to actively promote it. You might advocate for broader investment in renewable energy.
And as a noun?
As a noun, you become the person behind the idea. She is a strong advocate of human rights reform. Using both forms shows real flexibility.
Okay, let's move to evaluation. This is so central to academic discussion. The word assess.
It's key. It just means to evaluate or judge the quality or significance of something.
This feels really important for speaking part 3.
It is. The examiner doesn't want a simple description. They want you to judge. They might ask, how do you assess the long-term effects of digital media?
And you need that formal verb. You can't just say, what do you think about?
You can, but assess is much stronger. And in a Task 2 essay, you might need to assess the effectiveness of a government policy.
Okay, here's a spot where I know learners get tripped up. The confusing pair. Comprehend versus comprehensive.
Ah, yes. A perfect example of where precision matters. The roots look the same, but they operate completely differently.
So comprehend is just to understand.
Strictly about understanding, yes. Your challenge as a reader is to comprehend complex academic texts. It's an action, a mental process.
Whereas comprehensive.
Comprehensive means thorough, complete, covering every aspect.
So a government report could be comprehensive.
Exactly. It's comprehensive if it covers all facets of an issue, from the causes to the solutions.
Okay, that makes sense. Understanding versus being thorough.
That's it.
Now, let's tackle this trio of gaining words. Acquire, attain, and achieve. They are not synonyms.
Not at all. They require distinct contexts. Acquire almost always relates to knowledge or skills or assets.
You acquire a language.
You acquire fluency in English, yes. Now, attain is about reaching a fixed goal or a level, which is often abstract.
Like you attain a high band score.
You attain a high band score, or you attain a senior position in your career.
And achieve. How is that different?
Achieve is more about accomplishment, often with measurable outcomes. A corporation achieved record profits.
So there's a subtle difference there that examiners would notice.
They would. Acquire is learning, attain is reaching the level, achieve is the successful execution.
Let's quickly wrap up these formal foundations with 4 more words. You need to be able to articulate your views.
Which means expressing them clearly and fluently.
And you have to discuss the context of an issue.
The background, the situation, whether it's historical context or economic context.
Then there's the verb constitute.
Meaning to form or make up something. For instance, temporary workers might constitute the majority of the summer workforce.
And finally, demonstrate. To show or prove something.
The research demonstrates a significant link. Using these 4 really establishes a university-level baseline for your writing.
Okay, that's a great foundation. Let's transition from those academic basics to how you can inject more precision and personality into your opinions.
Segment 2. This is all about describing and expressing opinion. Crucial for writing task 2.
Let's start with importance. Instead of just saying important,
Reach for crucial or vital. They're strong synonyms meaning extremely important or essential.
access to clean water is crucial for public health.
Perfect.
Okay, what about describing difficulty? Hard is just too simple. Let's look at arduous, daunting, and challenging.
This is about scaling the difficulty. Arduous describes something that's difficult and also tiring, physically or mentally.
Like, the multi-year process of gaining accreditation can be arduous.
Exactly. Daunting, on the other hand, means intimidating or overwhelming, often because of the scale of the task.
The thought of starting a business from scratch is often a daunting prospect.
Yes, and challenging is your versatile middle ground. It acknowledges difficulty, but keeps a positive or neutral tone.
Right. Now, when you're discussing solutions, you need words to show they'll actually work.
Yes. You need beneficial, which just means helpful, and then the powerful pair, viable and feasible.
In an essay about climate change, you can't just propose something that sounds nice. It has to be
Viable or feasible. And for IELTS purposes, you can treat those as interchangeable.
so they both mean possible or practical.
Correct. A government must ensure new energy technology is viable before investing heavily in it.
Let's look at tone. Candid and blunt. Both mean direct, but the feeling is very different.
Very different. Candid has a positive feeling. It means honest and frank, usually in a helpful way.
Like a supervisor giving a candid assessment of your performance.
Right. Blunt, however, is direct without any concern for a person's feelings.
His blunt refusal to negotiate ended the discussion.
That's a great example. It can be quite negative.
Now, clarity. This is so important. If an essay is ambiguous, it's unclear. It has multiple meanings.
And that's exactly what you want to avoid in your own writing.
So to avoid it, you need its opposites, definite and explicit.
When you're discussing regulations, for example, the terms and conditions must be explicit, no doubt about the meaning.
Okay, now for a cluster that's incredibly practical, for task 1 reports, for task 2 evidence, quantity and sufficiency.
Yes, this spectrum: abundant, ample, adequate, and deficient.
Mastering this scale adds serious precision.
It does. Abundant means plentiful, often for natural resources. Ample means more than enough, a generous amount.
You should allow yourself ample time for revision.
Exactly. Now, adequate is the tricky one.
Because it means sufficient, but just barely.
Just enough and no more. The funding was adequate to begin the project, but not enough to finish it luxuriously.
And at the bottom, deficient.
Lacking something essential. A country's public transport might be deficient in key areas.
Using this scale is a hallmark of sophisticated reporting.
Moving into segment 3, let's focus on academic verbs and process analysis, the action words.
These are absolutely critical for describing trends and processes in Task 1.
We can start with resource management. These 3 are powerhouses: allocate, deploy, and coordinate.
And they are not interchangeable. Allocate is nearly always about money, resources, or time.
The government allocated funds for schools.
Right. But deploy is about strategic use, usually people or technology.
You'd deploy new software.
Yes. You wouldn't deploy a budget. And coordinate is about organized activities between different groups.
A committee needs to coordinate the efforts of volunteers and staff.
Perfect.
Now, to sound truly formal, we need substitutes for simple verbs. So instead of begin,
Commence.
and instead of stop,
Cease. Using these is pretty much non-negotiable for formal writing. The manufacturing facility will cease operations. It just sounds better.
much better. Next, the explanation cluster. We have clarify, elucidate, elaborate, and specify.
Okay, so clarify is basic. To make clear, elucidate is the high-scoring, very formal version of that.
So you would elucidate a complex concept.
Yes, the professor elucidated the central paradox. Now, elaborate is great for the speaking test,
The examiner might ask you to elaborate on a point.
meaning to provide more detail, and specify is to state exactly. The client will specify the exact dimensions.
Okay, now for verbs you'd use when presenting data or revealing facts.
Right, like illustrate, depict, reveal, and disclose.
When analyzing a graph, you'd say the chart illustrates a downward trend.
You would. Depict is more for visual representation, like a novel depicts life in a certain era.
Reveal is for making something hidden known,
The investigation revealed discrepancies.
whereas disclose is more official.
Exactly. Making official, often sensitive, information public, companies must disclose financial risks to shareholders.
And for trends in Task 1, these three are indispensable: fluctuate, diminish, and escalate.
Prices fluctuate. They go up and down irregularly.
And diminish, that's a gradual decrease.
It is. The influence of traditional media has diminished. And escalate is a rapid increase, usually in intensity.
The regional tension escalated.
Precisely.
And finally, for this section, rules and action. We have comply and conform.
Comply is to obey regulations. Businesses must comply with safety rules. Conform is about following standard patterns. A product conforms to international standards.
And the really high-value action verb here is implement.
To put a plan into action. The new policy is set to be implemented next month.
Okay, moving on to segment 4. This is where you really show that deep analytical capacity, critical thinking, and analysis.
These words are absolutely essential for Task 2 arguments and Speaking Part 3 answers.
Let's start with argument structure. We mentioned advocate earlier. Now we need its counterpoints.
Oppose and contradict.
And you can use them together really effectively. While leaders advocate for tax cuts, critics oppose the measure.
Arguing it would contradict principles of wealth redistribution. That's a perfect high-level sentence.
Now, a distinction that often confuses learners: bias versus prejudice.
Yes, people use them interchangeably, but they aren't the same.
So what's the core difference?
Bias is an inclination or favoritism, and it can even be unconscious. A study might have a methodological bias.
And prejudice.
Prejudice is a negative prejudging, often based on stereotypes. It carries a much heavier social weight.
Okay, causation, how one thing leads to another. You've got 3 here: attribute, derive, and stem from.
You attribute success or failure to a cause. The company attributed its loss to supply chain issues.
And you derive something from a source.
Usually knowledge or a conclusion. Scientists derive new theories from data.
And the phrase stem from, that feels like it points to a deeper cause.
It does. The housing crisis stems from decades of insufficient planning. It shows you understand complex relationships.
Now for the, what you called the aha moment distinction, the imply-infer trap.
This is so vital. Imply is always the action of the speaker or the writer. They suggest something without saying it directly.
The author's negative statistics imply that the situation is worsening.
Perfect. And infer is the action of the reader or listener.
So I infer the author's opinion based on the evidence.
Correct. And if you can use both correctly in one sentence, you're signaling a very high level of control over the language.
Okay. Detail examination. How to show you've thought deeply. Scrutinize.
To examine something very, very carefully, experts scrutinize the fine print of the trade agreement.
And discern.
To recognize something subtle or difficult, like being able to discern valid data from propaganda.
And when you're describing disagreement, you need the full spectrum.
Right. From consensus, which is general agreement,
To controversy, which is a strong debate.
to discord, a lack of harmony, and finally conflict, a serious argument.
And last in this section, the validity quartet. Judging how reliable information is.
You need these. Credible means believable. Legitimate means lawful or reasonable.
A valid point is one that's well-founded and logical.
And the opposite of all that is dubious. If a claim is dubious, it's doubtful, questionable.
If you claim an argument is not credible, you have to explain why it is dubious.
Now you're thinking like a critical analyst.
In our final segment, let's add that last layer of polish: expression, degree, and attitude.
This is about adding magnitude and nuance. So let's start with the scale of magnitude, vital for Task 1. We have substantial, considerable, moderate, and marginal.
Substantial or considerable means large or significant. A substantial increase in public debt.
Moderate is your middle ground. Average, not extreme. The policy had only moderate success.
And marginal means very small or minimal.
Right. The difference in performance was statistically marginal. It downplays the significance.
Okay, words for prominence. We have distinctive, prominent, notable, and conspicuous.
Distinctive means unique, a building's distinctive architectural style.
Prominent is important and well-known, like a prominent politician.
Right. Notable is just worthy of attention.
Yeah.
And conspicuous means obvious. It attracts attention.
Sometimes for a negative reason, like the conspicuous absence of something.
Exactly.
And for describing intensity, how do we move past just using very?
You use acute, severe, intense, and extreme.
We talk about an acute shortage of staff.
For severe weather events,
Yeah.
intense public scrutiny. And extreme is for the far end of the scale, like extreme fluctuations in the market.
For attitudes, let's go beyond optimistic and pessimistic. You suggest focusing on pragmatic versus idealistic?
Yes. A pragmatic approach is practical, focused on real-world outcomes.
Whereas an idealistic approach focuses on high, maybe unfeasible ideals.
And a high-scoring essay often suggests a balance between pragmatic solutions and idealistic long-term goals.
Let's finish with 4 versatile, sophisticated nouns. First, notion.
An idea or a belief. The common notion that hard work guarantees success is often debated.
Phenomena.
A remarkable or significant occurrence. Globalization is a key social phenomenon.
Then paradigm, often used with the word shift.
Right. A typical pattern or model. The internet caused a paradigm shift in how we access information.
And finally, dilemma.
A difficult choice between 2 undesirable alternatives, like the economic dilemma of balancing environmental protection with industrial growth.
We've covered so much ground today. Let's try to distill this into the absolute key takeaway.
For me, it's this. Vocabulary learning for IELTS is all about context and function.
Not just matching words to definitions.
Absolutely not. You need to know how to deploy the word naturally in a sentence that makes sense. The test assesses your ability to function in a real academic or professional environment.
Which means that accuracy beats complexity every single time.
Every single time.
Huh.
Using a sophisticated word incorrectly makes your argument sound, well, unnatural.
Or worse, dubious.
Exactly.
So how do you practice this without feeling overwhelmed?
Start small. Focus on integrating just 10 or 15 of these words per week. Don't try to do all 200 at once.
And immerse yourself in authentic materials.
Yes. International news, academic articles. This trains your brain to see the words used naturally, which embeds the correct context in a way a flashcard never can.
And keep a vocabulary journal, but don't just write the definition.
No, write down the full sentence where you found it, or create your own sentence that uses it in a specific IELTS context.
And for maximum efficiency, learn word families.
That's the best shortcut. If you learn the verb specify, also learn the noun specification and the adjective specific. You've just tripled your vocabulary.
Before we wrap up, let's just revisit something you said earlier about quantity and quality.
The difference between adequate and ample.
Right. Adequate means sufficient, ample means more than enough.
The pressure on learners is always to have this ample vocabulary, to use all these fancy words.
But I want to leave you with this question. Is that pressure to achieve ample vocabulary, to use highly complex words, actually counterproductive?
If it risks making your expression less credible or less valid.
Exactly. The real high-scoring goal isn't showing off every word you know.
It's using what you know, whether simple or complex, fluently, accurately, and naturally.
That is the real path to mastering the language and securing the band score you need. Keep practicing, focus on that contextual precision, and keep building that academic toolbox.